Hey everyone, Shelly and Jenna here again for another round of courageous conversations. And this week is really putting us to the test. We're talking about people who smell too good or too bad. And how do we have those discussions with them?
For sure, Jenna. I would have to say, when it comes to having conversations with folks about smells, the best way to do it is just to take care of it. So I'm going to start off with a loaded question, since this whole topic really seems kind of a loaded topic for many of us. Have you ever had to work with somebody that their scent was distracting or offensive? Maybe you don't want to share what it was like, but maybe you could expand on that a little bit if you've ever
Sure.
had.
So I would say I think we've all come across that in some at some point or another, whether it's an employee, maybe it's you know, someone that we actually kind of work with, but don't really work with. Do you know what I mean? I used to work at a care center, so there were all kinds of smells all the time there, right? And so that was just a fact of life. And I think at the end of the day, we have to realize that we're all, human beings, and these are all just facts of life in some realm or another, in that, depending on what stage you are in your life, this might become more pertinent to you than others. So yeah, I think I've been encountered in one of these situations. How about you, Shelley?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's not just the bad smells either. We've had folks that have really been good about smelling good, but maybe about smelling a little too good. So a little extra dose of cologne, or maybe smelly lotions or oils, things like that. And if they're urgently causing disruptions, then we find ways to deal with it. We find ways to kind of have conversations about it. Again, there'll be BO and bad breath kind of go in the same way. Is it something that's really distracting and hurting the situation, or is it something that's like, okay, well, gosh, they had that extra cup of coffee this morning and they really have coffee breath, and it's not hurting anybody else, so we're just going to kind of let it go. You kind of pick your battles. But if it is somebody that's, working closely with another person, we have that chat. We definitely focus on the smell instead of the embarrassment of the situation. So, I may approach it as to say, maybe you already know this and maybe you don't, but this is what I've noticed. And oh, by the way, I've got something here to help you fix it. So you don't just come to that person with your problem. And that's kind of all of our courageous conversations that we have. We don't just approach another friend or colleague or somebody that maybe reports to us with a problem. We also help them with their solution. So it's a little less embarrassing, because listen, addressing smell is embarrassing for everyone.
Definitely.
And so some questions that we get, Jenna, are: should employers have to implement a scent-free policy in order to deal with this kind of stuff? I mean, it kind of seems a little bit extreme, but I get it too, because sometimes maybe that's just the easier of the two. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think it kind of depends on the circumstances. Like you said, I mean, how bad is it? How many people is it affecting? Is it customer facing? Those kinds of things. But on the other hand, a lot of times I think when folks have like a scent-free policy or procedure or something like that, a lot of times it's not because of the person that was um, smelling strongly, it's for those around that person. So for instance, if someone was sensitive to smell for reasons, maybe they're pregnant, and scents from cologne or perfumes or BO or maybe the lunchroom fridge, maybe cooking in the microwave, maybe those things are setting off that person and making them nauseous, right? So we're looking out for maybe those people that aren't necessarily the root of the smell, but it's those that it's affecting. And so, yeah, I mean, I think if you do, I don't think it's a bad thing to have a scent-free policy, to be honest with you. But at the same time, you know, a scent-free policy isn't, I don't think, for one person that's causing it either. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've got someone that really does have a particular smell, you know, other people, when they pass by other people and stuff, that's probably one thing that everyone else thinks of when they see that person. And like you had said earlier, Shelley, what do we want? What do we want the outcome to be? Do we want, you know, people to only be thinking of how badly that person smells? Or do we want them to focus on the good work that they do? So those conversations should be had one-on-one instead of this elaborate policy when everybody is thinking to themselves, it's because of so-and-so, right? Like, let's try to, you know, nip this right at the root cause. And, you know, when you're having those discussions too, it better be less than 60 seconds. Like Shelley said, it's kind of an embarrassing thing. It's kind of a touchy thing. And not only that, there might be a physical disability and the reason why it's like that. So we need to, you know, bring it up, leave room for them to say, look, I've got this condition. And then as a supervisor or HR, that's your point to say, oh, okay, look, let's explore some reasonable accommodations. Let's talk about this if that's the case. Now, if there is no, you know, disability or like particular reason why this is happening, then like I said, it's going to be a short and sweet conversation, letting them know, hey, look, I think you do a great job. This is one thing that's happening. And I don't want people to think otherwise of you. So let's take care of this. Here's some soap, use the shower, whatever you need to do. We're here to help you, kind of a thing, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, some conversations too are sometimes peer-to-peer. So even maybe not in a leadership position, but you work closely with somebody, and I'll bring up coffee breath because I absolutely love coffee. Now I know I probably have coffee breath in the morning just from drinking it. Yeah. And so I would really hope that somebody, you know, I would have that relationship with somebody that would just say, hey, you know what, have a mint. I noticed you had some coffee this morning, you know, and you can giggle about it and make light of the situation. So there are times where you can absolutely make light of the situation. I don't recommend bringing deodorant and a bottle of cologne to or perfume to somebody who you think might not smell so great. Not a good approach. But absolutely, those conversations, we don't want to let them linger. Play on words there. And you know, offer a mint if you have somebody that's in close enough to you where you can say, hey, you know, I know, again, you had some coffee, you know, next time you might want to have a mint. Offer me a mint, I'll take it, Jenna.
I agree. And anytime anyone sees like a booger or anything, like, let me know, because I will not take offense. What is worse, right? Ask yourself, what is worse? Would you rather walk around at an industry event and have the worst breath ever, or something hanging from your nose? Or would you rather have someone say right when you step in there, oh, hey, what did you say? Bat in the cave? Mm-hmm. Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
So, say something like along those lines. I mean, what would you rather have? Walk around, everybody see you, or just one person? And that person was nice enough to be like, dude, you know,
yeah,
take care of that.
And funny thing is we form bonds over that. So if somebody were to come up to you or I and adjust our crown in private to get things just right, yeah, we call it adjusting the crown as well. You know, you have that respect for that person. At least I do. You know, I have a newfound respect. If I don't already have respect for them, I'm like, man, thank you. I trust you. That took a lot of courage for you to approach me and tell me that. So remember too that awkward situation and really crazy, courageous conversation helps to build relationships.
I completely agree. There was a gal, a little bit different, but there was a gal who, it was her first day, missed a button. And I'm like, soon as the jacket came off, I'm like, oh, hey, you might want to fix that up. Who wants to be the person on your first day of work and people will remember that you are missing a button, right? Nobody wants that. It's unwanted attention. So if you're ever in that position, just say, hey, didn't know if you knew this, but, and give them a quick mention to let them know something's going on.
Mhm. Oh, I have a good question for you, Jenna. So what if an employee refuses to wear deodorant or take care of something that is a smell? How has that been approached, or how should we approach that in order to do the right thing as the employer?
I think that's one of those conversations probably that needs to be had with HR just to make sure that you're following, ADA guidelines. Because if somebody is refusing, there may be a good reason why. And I think we've talked about that before, Shelley. Like, people don't just do things out of spite. And so there's more than likely 99% of the time a reason behind they're doing what they're doing. So if a supervisor has talked to an employee about, smell, maybe a particularly bad smell, there may be a good reason why that person has a not so pleasant smell. And so now it needs to be escalated up to HR to be able to have those discussions with that person. So if they are refusing, there could possibly be a reason why. Health-wise, maybe it's a form of disability. We definitely don't have enough time to list everything that it could be. But that's probably a good starting place, is just to say, look, I've noticed, your supervisor talked to you on this day, it's still continuing. Is there a reason why? Is there something that we can help with? And that's that point of interactive discussion on the reasonable accommodation that, the company could provide, or at least understand, get a good grasp on the situation and understand that there is a reason why they haven't fixed the smell.
And really, as employers, we need to understand that reasonable accommodations don't have to be crazy. They don't have to be expensive. It's maybe a matter of better ventilation, or a different desk or office location, or just the use of cleaning supplies once that person is in and out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It can be very minuscule things that change it up quite a bit. So for instance, maybe you do have a locker room, shower area or something like that. And, it typically isn't for folks to use, maybe before or after work or something like that. Or, possibly a lot of companies now have gyms in the office. So if you are able to convert a little area for a shower or just like a bigger bathroom to sort of wash off in afterwards before returning to work, maybe those are some policies to implement, or just procedures maybe to mention to folks that it's available to them.
One other thing that we haven't touched on yet, and going back to the bad breath, really kind of focused on that today. I don't know why.
I think so.
So what about smelling like last night's party? Now, that kind of goes a little bit beyond, and I kind of wanted to touch on that because there are times that we might have to address that bad breath as well. So
that's a very good topic, Shelley, and I think that is probably a whole different avenue, right? Of folks coming in, they're looking a little bit disheveled, their smell of maybe alcohol, what have you, that takes a whole new connotation, especially if this person drives a company vehicle every day and those kinds of things. In that case, we call that reasonable suspicion for being under the influence. And I think most companies have a policy that says no, use of alcohol or drugs or whatever, what have you, during company hours. And obviously, when you're coming to work, even hungover, you're not operating at your highest level either. And so if and again, that can be kind of touchy, but at the same time, if you're a peer of them, maybe you mention it to your supervisor. If you are their supervisor, I would encourage you to get another person to possibly witness this. Maybe they're staggering down the hallway, maybe they are just slurring their words, maybe they're just looking or smelling not the greatest or maybe normal for them. And so having a second set of eyes there to witness that with you, bring in HR, bring in your supervisor, whatever it is, and then going down the guidelines of reasonable suspicion, which means we probably will need to get this person tested for drugs or alcohol. And so there's a lot more though that can go into that once, or if you're ever in that position, that we probably won't be able to cover all in today's quick chat, but certainly that goes down the lines of reasonable suspicion and is it time that we need to test somebody. And I think, Shelley, you've put together some really good guidelines for reasonable suspicion and what to look for. Maybe you want to give us a quick overview of some of those physical aspects of what that looks like.
Sure. So you really want to look for, going beyond the bad breath this time. And we are kind of taking a little bit of a tangent here on our courageous conversations on the smells, but we did want to address this because this is, again, one of the bigger ones. And how do you handle it when you get to it? You are looking for those reasonable suspicion, actionable items, something that is observable. So what can you observe? And really when you're having that conversation with somebody about last night's bad breath from drinking, you're including all of the different reasons and just talking to them and saying, hey, we want to make sure that we are excluding that this is the reason why things are smelling this way, things are looking this way. So, I put together a reasonable suspicion training. So if anybody is interested in just taking a peek at that, let us know. And then there's also an accompanying manager's worksheet that actually goes through and lists all of the different items that you would want to check off for a reasonable suspicion. But definitely, again, it is 100% in your best interest to have that conversation when you suspect that as well. That's something that you cannot, as an employer, manager, even as a peer, it's a liability on the company. So you can't ignore having that conversation or bringing it up.
Totally agree. Yep, good call. Mentioning the liability of that too, for sure. So interesting. Well, I think we've hit just about on every topic we had originally outlined. Shelley, do you have any other thoughts as we head off for the day?
Gosh, if you don't want me smelling this thing in Smelly Cat, I think we should probably cut it off now.
Oh, okay. Okay, goodbye. No.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Jen and I just want to thank you again for joining us on Courageous Conversations. If you do have any questions on any of the topics that we discussed in past presentations, today's presentation about smelling, and a little bit about reasonable suspicion, we'd love to hear from you and help you out. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. And maybe we'll make a topic out of it, right?
Yeah. All right. So thanks again for joining us, everyone. We hope that you enjoyed your Thanksgiving holiday and are safe and happy and, virtually scent free.
Perfect. Take care, everybody. Thank you.